Greetings, greetings, greetings. When I say greetings, you say greetings. Greetings! 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 Yes, we have been greeting each other since y'all got here. I just want to let's just applaud the food, Josephine, Merlin. El Sol, they are out of Richmond. El Sol is the name of the restaurant. One more time, El Sol. Josephine, I hope you hear us in here applauding you, and El Sol. Also want to just thank you all for your presence. We're gonna get started with We Were There Too. My name is Ajuana Black. I am just so honored to be a co-facilitator of this event today. I'm just as excited as you are, honestly, to hear these voices. I'm gonna go ahead and introduce the panel right now. And if everyone that's here, you already know why you're here, but just in case if this was a surprise to you, right? We are about to hear some voices that pretty much we haven't heard before. In due respect, we've heard voices from the leaders of the Black Panther, adults who've been a part of that movement, and even still a part of the movement, right? We've heard those voices. They've been loud, it's been clear. I know me growing up, I've heard those voices before. But we already know too that with one experience, there's another narrative right directly within that experience. And this is so powerful to be able to present and be a part of hearing another narrative. And to me, it's the child's narrative. So what's deep about this is that the child experiences, but many times doesn't process until they become an adult. But the experience and the feelings are still in their bodies, they're in their minds, but many times can't explain what it is. So we have the opportunity right now to be able to hear what the child and each one of these incredible humans have now processed. And they're here to speak to us. So with that, I want to go ahead and introduce who we are going to be experiencing today and hearing. To my far right, let me put my glasses on so I don't act like I can see. Okay. To my far right, we have Shona Pratt. Was born in August 1979 to Ashaki and Geronimo. Say it for me. Geronimo. Sorry, y'all. I practiced this too, by the way. I was in the mirror practicing this. Geronimo G. Jaga Pratt, her heroes. She was raised with her brother in Marin City, California, and multiple California state prisons. She currently resides in Antioch, California, and has been working in healthcare for over 20 years. Shona is the proud mama of two, Ashaki, named after her mom, and you help me out. Takeo Geronimo, named after her dad. Shona says, I am so happy to be here reacquainted with my Panther family, sharing and healing a piece of me. This is Shona. Yes. Right next to Shona, to her left, is Attica Georges, is the daughter of Claudia Grayson, aka Sister Sheba Haven, who opened and operated the George Jackson People's Free Health Clinic. Attica has a degree in accounting and finance and works as a nonprofit accountant. A self-described information junkie, Attica enjoys learning and researching, questioning conventional wisdom, discussing ideas, traveling, and exploring spirituality. This is Attica Georges. Okay, I'm gonna say it louder now. Next is Hiroji Geronimo Pratt. 41 is the son of Geronimo G. Jaga at Pratt. He has his bachelor's degree in history and sociology from the University of Louisiana at Lafayette and is a public housing property manager. He is the proud father of 3, Hiroji Pratt II, Jay Pratt, and Kai Pratt, and he is the loving husband of 23 years. Please, next, we have Patrice Lumumba Lynch, born in San Francisco, California, to parents Anna and Vincent Lynch. His father was a proud member of the Black Panther Party of Northern California. Patrice is a passionate swimming and surfing instructor and advocate for diversity in swimming to empower Black and brown communities. He teaches about the benefits of aquatic therapy, health, swimming, and our history of aquaculture. In 2023, he completed in the race across Alcatraz without a wetsuit. Patrice's goal is to be a beacon of inspiration in the swimming world and Afro-diaspora communities. Please give it up for Patrice one more time. Last but not least, the one and only, Meres-Sia Gabriel, organizer of this event, is the daughter of Emory Douglas, former Minister of Culture of the Black Panther Party, and Gail Asali Dixon, who was a teacher and the primary woman artist for the Black Panther Party newspaper. Meres-Sia is currently working on a one-woman show about her experiences growing up in the Black Panther Party, and she is, once again, the organizer of this event. We were there too. She is the best-selling author of I Twirl in the Smoke and the founder of LifeChangingWriting, a coaching program that helps writers develop their literary voice. And I want to say I was the proud teacher. I'm an educator, by the way, I didn't say that, but I taught both of Meres-Sia's children at my home school. However, it's not about me, it's about Meres-Sia right now. So can we please give it up for Meres-Sia Gabriel? Actually bring Meres-Sia up at this time. If I didn't say it again, my name is Ajuana Black, and I just want to put it on the record that I'm an educator. I believe in Black education. I really, really, really do. I really do. I believe in Black education. And I am honored to also be directing Meres-Sia Gabriel's one-woman show that's going to be in August. So please, if you didn't get a flyer, please get it before you leave. And Meres-Sia Gabriel, come on up.
Thank you, Ajuana. That's my daughter over there, Isan Love Long, one of my daughters. I really want to thank each and every one of you for being here, for filling up the space, and for your excitement to be here. I couldn't have done this without you all and without the panelists. So it was very easy. People were like, oh, congratulations, that was such a hard thing to do, but it felt very easy at first because I was talking to Attica about my show, and then I was like, hey, we can do a panel, I have resources now. And she was like, yeah, and then I called up Shona, and I called up Patrice, and then we added Hiroji, and then the synergy was just there from the start. And it was, let's take a date. We just did the whole thing just like that. It did start to feel, once you get into the nitty gritty of the painting, I was like, okay, this is why people congratulate me. But it was really easy to pull together. But more than just being my friends who didn't know each other at all before they met for this, but more than that, they have incredible stories that as we got together to kind of talk about it and hash it out, I was in awe. We were each in awe of each other's stories. So I'm very excited for you to hear that. a little housekeeping before, well, not housekeeping, acknowledgements before we get started. This event, I was able to put this event on because of funding I received from California Arts Council through Center for Cultural Power and through the Yerba Buena Center for the Arts, and also because Richmond Art Center was so generous in offering their space for us for this program. I've been working with Kimberly as my point person, and she's been amazing, Kimberly and also Adela. And so just in general, I'm grateful for the Richmond Art Center to see the value in this for the community. Once again, El Sol is the magnificent restaurant out there serving y'all. It's been feeding the community in Richmond since 1982, is from what I understand. So before we get to the panelists, which is, so yummy, I want to acknowledge that we have two panelists whose parents are ancestors, and we are dedicating this panel to Geronimo Pratt and to Vincent Lynch. And we are also dedicating this panel to all Black Panthers who have passed on, and to all Cubs who are here today and who have also passed on. We are asking in this space, we would like to also honor any political prisoners, Panthers, or otherwise. We are honoring and acknowledging political prisoners present day and who have passed on. I would like for you to hold in your heart right now to just think of any ancestor or energy that you would like to have in this space, and we'll just take a moment to really just breathe that in and just center the space in those beings, those people, those past and present that you want to be in this space with us, those memories of people that you'd like to be in this space with us right now. So we'll just take a few breaths on that. Ashe. I would like to acknowledge if there are any other, growing up we were called Panther Cubs, and we're adults now. I don't know, we're still Cubs because they're babies, but for the sake of keeping things easy, if there are any other Cubs in the room, I would really love if you're able to stand so that we can acknowledge you. If there are any other Cubs in the audience, yes. If there are any Richmond Panthers in the room, any Panthers who were once in the Richmond branch, yes, thank you. And just in general, if there are any former Black Panther Party members in the room, would you please stand so that we can acknowledge you? Thank you. So I bring this event to you as much as a cultural community event as a wellness event, as Ajuana has beautifully explained, tapping into that inner child that is a wellness, I would say, activity, for lack of a better word. Let's see, I think there's one more thing. Oh, the slideshow that you see, the pictures have been offered through, obviously the panelists have given me pictures, but these pictures have also, I've gotten these pictures from James Wheaton of the Richmond branch. He offered a lot of the pictures from the Richmond, and also from the page of Billy X, the archivist for the Black Panther Party. So that's where I got the pictures from. Where they may be from beyond that, I cannot tell you. All right, so I'd like to begin by telling you that Richmond was here too. Some say, well, why is it in Richmond and not in Oakland? Oakland is known as the home of the Black Panther Party. Well, Richmond was here too. And so I'm living in Richmond. I'm serving Richmond right now. And we're starting off right here in Richmond. So to give you a little background, the murder of North Richmond resident Denzel Dow in 1967 by a Martinez sheriff precipitated events that would catapult the Black Panther Party into the national spotlight. The headline of the first edition of the Black Panther Party newspaper read, "Why was Denzel Dow killed?" Subsequently, a Richmond branch was established in 1968 at a church on Bissell. Some of the survival programs included free breakfast for children before school, a senior safety escorting service, a busing program to take families to see relatives at area prisons, a child development center for babies and toddlers, liberation schools, a free shoe and food giveaway out in North Richmond, where hundreds came out in 1971, and the office closed in 1972, but remained a daycare from what I understand. And that information, again, was provided to me by James Wheaton, who from the Richmond branch, also from It's About Time, BPP, Billy X's site, and from interviews with James Wheaton, Gloria Abernathy, and Mike Ellis. And so thank you so much for taking all of that in, and now we are getting to the panelists. Let me begin with my question. So first, I would like if each of the panelists could briefly explain why they're here. Like, why was this important to you? Because one of the motivating forces for me was I hear a lot of myths when people say, oh, you were born in the Black Panther Party, you raised in the Black Panther Party, and they have these myths or this romantic idea of what it was like. And that's my reason, and I would like for you to share what each of you, your reason is for being here.
I'll start here. I did this because my sis asked me to. No, just kidding. I mean, first, initially that's why, but I've been in the shows for different reasons for far too long. And it's time to tell those stories and set some records straight. So we're here.
Right on. Okay. Well, if I can figure out how to get this on. Okay, there we go. So I'm here also because Meres-Sia, and because I feel like Ajuana was saying earlier, we've all heard the voices of the actual adults who were involved, and I have rarely, if ever, seen anything about the children of activists, the children who are affected by COINTELPRO also, and the children of people who embarked in various counterculture movements, who were trying out new things that impacted the children also, and therefore, what can we learn from how all of those things impacted the children? So that's why I'm here.
Well, I am here because my sister asked me to be on the panel with her. And yes, and also, more importantly, I'm here to just explain, I want to get through some of the myths that I hear too. I was, have some friends that say, oh, you grew up as a Panthers kid, and then you hear these things like, oh, it sounds like they think that the Black Panthers were a black version of the KKK, and totally not the case. Self-defense is totally different than a supremacy standpoint that, the other side comes from. And yeah, just to dispel some of the myths and speak our truth to the story. Because as kids, we benefited from some things definitely that our parents fought for, but we also lost, especially in my case, I lost out on a few things, But the sacrifice was, I think, worth it, especially in my father's eyes, and even in my eyes in the later years. And as I grow older, I understood more so what it was about. But that's why I'm here to explain, my side of the story and share my experiences as a Panther Cub.
First of all, I want to thank each and one of you for coming here and allowing me to share this story. I can't hold on to this knowledge that needs to be passed on. We are a village. That was the Panther about being a village. So for me, the reason why I said yes, the experience to pass on this vital information to the youth, to whoever it is important. I was told to keep it under as a parent, you have to keep it on the low, because you know the feds could be around, you know what I'm saying? So you have to always watch that, but you can't hold on to this. So for me, it was very important to share this story, this journey that my parents start off. And it goes beyond that to where my grandparents were Garvey guys. So the tone's already set back for the Panthers. So my dad is passing on, so now it's my turn to pass on my way. You know, you always say tell your own story. So here's my opportunity to do that.
Thank you, Patrice. So I'm going to ask a few questions. I have about 5 here. I'll ask the question, but they're going to answer according to whatever, comes in your head. You don't have to stick to my question. We're looking at the challenges, the blessings, and the healing of growing up in the Black Panther Party. So what is your earliest memory? What is your earliest memory as a child in the party or a child of Panthers?
My earliest memory is actually a story that I used to hear my father tell me. He was a great storyteller. And he told me, I was born in August 1979. That month, there was a mountaineer that climbed the top of Grace Cathedral in San Francisco. And he told me he did it in my honor because it was, I was being born to get it for me. But later I found out that he actually did it for the murder of Stephen Biko and for the immediate release of Pratt. A year later, which I think there's a picture of now, he went to New York City and he climbed the Statue of Liberty, and they unfurled this 25-foot banner that read, I believe, "Liberty was framed, free Geronimo now."
Yeah.
And they stood up there for about 24 hours before they surrendered to authorities. But that was one of the first stories that I remember hearing him tell me. And of course, he made me feel like it was for me, because I was his princess, but he always had a lot of support. And I'm not sure who those climbers were. I think they've passed on now, but you just can't help but remember that. And luckily I found some pictures to show you them up there. So that was one of my earliest memories of him. Just a story. I have many, so I struggled with which one to tell, but that one was one of the earliest.
Would you repeat the question? What is your earliest memory? Or we can talk about a picture that's up there if you like.
Okay, so I'm going to talk about a photo as well. So I'm not sure if it's showing right now, but at some point in this, there is a photo that was taken at George Jackson's funeral. It's there. So in the photo, on one side, you'll see a woman standing in the foreground. She's doing security. That is my mother. And she was pregnant with me in this photo. And also this photo was taken not too many months before my mother left the Black Panther Party. So, my situation is a bit different because I didn't grow up at all in the Black Panther Party because my mother left shortly before I was born. And when she left the party, she went underground for multiple reasons, one of which was she was hiding from the Black Panther Party. So she fled and hid with some other people who were also underground at the time. So she lived with some other people who left the party, and also with some Weather Underground folks and maybe some others that I don't know about because my mother has always
they would go with me to my grave. So I have little bits and pieces that I have come to learn over the years. So during her time underground, I was born, and she was really like on the run. At one point, actually, while she was still pregnant with me, she was actually shot at. It's believed that she was shot at by Panthers. I basically will say, my first experience of the Black Panther Party is living in a room of a woman who's experiencing all of that, right? So, who knows how that has affected my development, but also, while she was underground, she participated in a robbery of a bank, which was a very popular way of appropriating funds at the time. It's the thing du jour. That resulted, though, in my mother and her compadres. That's not the word. Comrades.
The word is Spanish.
Anyway, her comrades being arrested, and my mother went to prison. She was given an indeterminate sentence at that time in California. That was another popular thing, indeterminate sentence. She was 19 years old, she had no record, and that's what she got. The day that the robbery was committed, that was the last day I ever saw my mother until she came out of prison when I was about 2 years old. I was about 10 months old at the time. So basically, my memories then became so much of growing up with my grandparents who took me in. So in the slideshow, you'll see some photos of a little baby, that's me, with my grandparents. So the earliest photographs of me are with my grandparents. As far as I'm aware, there are no baby pictures from when I was born, which, one can understand if someone is underground, in hiding, probably not prioritizing photos of this baby. And honestly, I hadn't even thought about the whole baby picture thing until 2 years ago. I was at a workplace and they requested for a team building activity, we all submit baby photos. And that's when I realized I've never seen a baby photo of myself. And I was like, are there baby photos? And I asked my mother, and she was not sure. So, these are the kinds of things that are just kind of not even really on my radar in terms of how my mother's experience impacted me. And I'm sure there are many things that still are not on my radar about how her experience impacted me.
Well, I say for me that my first memory is San Quentin. That's where me and my sister were conceived, inside of San Quentin. I remember walking down the pathway, and me as a kid, it was a beautiful thing. I knew I was going to see my father. I would look at the bay, anybody who's been to San Quentin, it's kind of a pretty walk, especially as a kid, walking from the place where they check you in to visit your loved ones that you're going to see. I remember walking down there, picking lemons, smelling the lemons, playing with the trees, just having a ball on my way to go see my father. And then I remember, every time I walk in there, the smell of cigarettes and the smell of, popcorn popping in the visiting room, and I love that, you know what I'm saying? Because I got to see my father, I get a big hug from him every time, the best hug you can ever get, you know what I'm saying? See your father, that's the first memory I have of him. Playing board games with him, you know, talking with him, and, you know, behind that visiting room. And one thing to hit back on her, you know, appropriate stuff. I do remember, you know, all the kids having tips with maybe shoplifting sometimes. And I remember my mom, you know, mom was like, "Oh, I'm gonna tell your daddy," because, you know, I got caught stealing. And, you know, dad got on the phone and he was just like, "The hell is your problem? The hell is your problem? You know, stealing stuff, you got caught." It wasn't about the fact that I stole, it was about the fact that I got caught. How you stealing stuff you didn't get, you know, you're supposed to, that belongs to us anyway. You gotta know how not to get caught. And so that's, you know, that's one of those things, and I'll, you know, I'll speak on later, you know, how we felt that, you know, we were owed some things, you know what I'm saying, even from back from slavery, even back from time, we were owed some things, and sometimes, you know, you gotta take it with the gun, not with the pen, you know. Sometimes you gotta use the pen, but, you know, sometimes you gotta just take it. And those are things that I taught, you know, I'm a very ethical person, don't get me wrong. But, you know, those are, you know, some of the dynamics that we would, you know, talk about, you know, growing up. And, very deep educated man that he was, and, you know, the philosophical introductions that I was brought up on in those visiting rooms, and, you know, talking about God at 4 years old and stuff like that, questioning these things, questioning religion, questioning Christianity, questioning, you know, all these things that, you know, most 4-year-olds don't get introduced to, you know what I'm saying? But that was him. He was a historian. He was a lover of religions, you know, all religions, and at the same time, hated all of them as well. And, you know, and so these things are all like some of my earliest memories of him. And, you know, we even have some tape recordings from the visiting rooms and when we were doing the conjugal visits in San Quentin, which were some great times. And again, I know some people looking on the outside and might say, "Oh, I feel sorry for you." You know, sure, I didn't have a father, but, you know, but I felt like I did. You know, every time I saw him, you know, it was like, you know, the love was there. You know, I saw me and my sister, we got showered with love, and you know, a few times we got to see him in prison and stuff like that, and we saw him quite often. Let's be real. We would go almost every other weekend, especially when it was at San Quentin. You know, we're in the city, so San Quentin's right there. Yeah, and that's it. That's it.
Okay, there's a couple of stories that I have. When I was a baby, about 5 years old, this is my father's memories, I remember just playing with all the kids in the Panther Party in my room, and I was mad about that. And everybody else was up front having conversations, so I didn't know what the conversations were, but I know something seriously and important. My father was, when I got of age, I guess people who he was friends with was Eldridge Cleaver, and my Eldridge Cleaver wrote about my father and my mom. My dad had already traveled to Nigeria, had already been to Africa. I remember he mentioned to me that his trip to Cuba, he had to go to Prague, which you can go direct to Cuba in the 60s, so he went to Prague, and in Prague he went to Cuba. He played baseball with Fidel Castro, chopped it up with Che Guevara. I'm like, "Dad, you did that?" I said, "Yeah," but my fond memory was when I was in Africa, and I didn't know why I had to go and live in Africa. You always hear a story of Africa coming to America. I had that reverse of a young African American going to live in Africa. Wow, what a story that is. I'm a product of that. And the reason why I was like, J. Edgar Hoover, hope there's no any fans in here, but I despise J. Edgar Hoover, had a lineup with my father, and he was associated with a lot of the tier top level Panthers. And he was warned that you have to get out. So all I remember is getting my tetanus shots. I I hated it. Next thing I know, I'm in London. Next thing I know, I'm in Paris. Originally was supposed to go to Congo Brazzaville, hence my name is Patrice Lumumba. But at the time, there was a civil war. And another thing I remember where Holland waiting to get on a plane to go, and as a Panther, defense was the number one thing. But back in the 70s, you could carry your pieces. You could put them, you could take your guns and all that, and they refused to let my father take his guns. So they had to be returned back to the States to my sister, to my aunt. I remember that being in Tanzania, and then the other part was the FBI and the CIA was on my father's trail, where they said that the African Americans who were in Tanzania at the time, which by the way was a hub for most of the Panthers who were in Tanzania, and he was placed in jail as a political prisoner, and I was really hurt by that because I had a father there, and my sister, not the baby, but all our names are African names. So my other sister, there's Angelique, there's Soini, and Ifuru somewhere. She didn't know, maybe says it, but Soini was born in Tanzania, and so I had to find a way to help my mom to raise her. But those are the memories that I remember. But while in San Francisco, I was too young to really kind of grasp what was going on. But while I was in Africa, that really enlightened and I got to really pick up and learn Swahili. I was a translator for my dad. He also bring me over, Lumumba, come over here. And they'll think he could get a deal with my dad, because my dad couldn't speak broken English there. I got somebody. Lumumba, speak to him. And they're like, no, he is not from America. You're gonna marry my daughter. I'm like, huh? Those are my memories. Was being in Tanzania for 5 years as I guess we were on the run as Black Panthers.
I don't want to embarrass Patrice, but being in Tanzania that long, he learned something very special. And he promised he would share. But if you're too shy, do you think you want to share it? Or?
Put on my glasses.
I can put your glasses on. He's got his glasses on. He's gonna share something special with you guys.
Stand up. It's hard for me because I think of I'm fine. This is a national anthem to Tanzania. Mungu ibariki Afrika, wabariki kiongozi wake, heshima, umoja na amani. Mungu ibariki Afrika na watu wake, ibariki Afrika, ibariki Afrika, tubariki watoto wa Afrika. Mungu ibariki Tanzania, wabariki viongozi wake, heshima, umoja na amani. Mungu ibariki Tanzania na watu wake, ibariki Tanzania, ibariki Tanzania, tubariki watoto wa Tanzania.
Shona and Hiroji, who their connection to the party is their father, but they weren't actually raised doing Panther activities. There's Attica, who your first experience in the party is underground, and then you're with your grandmother, and you were born before your father joined the party, right?
Yes.
Okay. And yet, when we talk, there is this emotional connection that is unexplainable, because it's just that if you were born to Panthers, you kind of have this experience. It's hard to explain. And I know that for years, Attica and I had regular meetings where we were talking about our experiences, and the emotional experience was the same, although my mother stayed until I was 2, and then she left from burnout, and my father stayed to the very end. Both of them joined very early. So even though it's a different trajectory for my parents than hers, we still had the same understanding and the same struggle, inner child struggle that we were working with. Hiroji, you brought up something, and I want to give it up for Hiroji, because when we were talking about the panel, it was really hard getting information out of him. And he came ready, he was prepared with a very beautiful story. So thank you, Hiroji. But you mentioned something, you said at 4 years old, you were learning all of these things. And I think that that's also a common thread, is that before the age of 10, I'm learning about white flight. I'm learning about, this is the ghetto where we live, and there used to be white people that lived here and then they left. And I'm learning about, the inner workings of organizations. I'm learning about, my mother's like, don't join an organization. And I'm like, okay. And then I'm learning about all this stuff before the age of 10. And that actually is a blessing and a curse, right? Because it's too much for a child to actually take in. But at this moment, now that we're like between 45 and 60, we're finally, we've gone through a reparenting process and learning how to appreciate it. But as a child, it's a lot. It's a lot to hold on to. My next question, and then we'll open it up for Q&A after a few questions. How did your parents, being Panthers, shape your childhood? If there's anything additional that you want to add, rather than what we just talked about. How did your parents, being Panthers, specifically, how did that shape your childhood?
Like you said, it was hard. I wasn't born into the party. Obviously, my father was incarcerated before I was born. But it was extremely hard going to visit him every weekend. And, I was daddy's girl, so what they say, your father is a woman's or a girl's first love. It shows you. And I wanted him to come home. I didn't understand why, as a young kid, he wouldn't come home with us. So I had to understand very early, like she said, about why and how cool the world was and could be to people who look like us, and COINTELPRO all before 10, and wondering if it was even really true. I had to read about it then myself to see, how that could even be. How could you keep a child from their parent? How could you, how could this be happening, and then to hope every single time for parole hearings that he would be released now or he could come home now. It was disheartening, but we made the best of it, and we had several dreams, and we thought about what we would do when he came home, and so that's what I held on to. But it was definitely different than the other kids in my environment, in my hometown. They weren't going through something similar. Sure, there were parents in and out of jail, but the reasoning it was different. So yeah, it did affect me having to grow up in San Quentin. He said, my brother said sometimes it was every weekend, and when they had conjugal visits, we were there for weeks at a time sometimes, which was some of my fondest memories as a child with both of my parents and my brother. We had some good times. But it was really hard. Just knowing what the world was. It's kind of like our innocence was taken a little bit. But there's pros and cons to everything, right? We made the best of it, but it was very difficult for me because I wanted him home.
Shona, before you pass it on, for those who might not know, we have some young people in the room and different people. Can you explain about your father, why he was in jail?
So, in the 60s, well, my father was he did 2 terms in the military, and he was a sharpshooter, right? He came home, he was a part of the party, but it was his job to teach what he learned, right? And he was in Oakland at the time of a robbery taking place in Southern California, where a woman and a man on a tennis court was playing tennis, and they were robbed by some armed men. And they initially pointed out a gunman who looked nothing like my father. But because he was, picked by COINTELPRO, they got him on the murder. He was initially arrested, sentenced to life. And several times they would tell him, if you just say you did it, we'll let you go. Just admit to it. You go home to your family. You go, well, at that time, it wasn't us, it would be his mother, his sisters back in Louisiana, but he was, he wouldn't cop to something that he didn't do. And he felt it very important. I think to show people how they should stand their ground, to not give in or to be, just to get out. I think that all the time that he was there, which we all found that we have in common, is that my father wasn't just my father. He was the father to the people. He was the father to the community. And he did what he did for several reasons. But I sometimes felt like, just say you did it. Come home, but he had a bigger a picture. But so yes, he was framed for murder. He spent 27 plus years in prison for something he didn't do in 1997. He was exonerated and let go. But for all those years, my whole childhood, he was locked up. I was 17 when he was released.
Need that question again. How did your parents being Panthers shape your childhood?
So I would say also the lack of a certain level of innocence, definitely, as well, like in the good ways and the ways that could be more challenging, shall we say. Like, one of the things I really loved was growing up with a sense of pride in people. And, that was instilled in my mother from her parents as well, and back, to the ancestors. So I felt like I always had a sense of like who I was and who our people were, who our people are, and a lot of pride in that, and a lot of context around white supremacy, and like there was always discussions around like things like capitalism. Like when I was like 7 years old, my mom called me a capitalist. I just knew clearly she thought it was a bad thing. I couldn't really understand what that meant. Yeah, so we've been arguing about money. Anyways, I just didn't understand why were we poor? Especially because my thing was like, she's such an altruist. She had done, and she and so many other people that I met through her friends, lots of former Panthers,
activists, organizers, lots of people who worked in the community. I thought, these people should not be broke. Like, I don't even understand how these are the broke people. Like, anyways. And then we would have our conversations, and then she would call me a capitalist. You know, she very much had a big thing about like not having me believe in yes. So I was the little kid in kindergarten who was telling all the other kids Santa Claus did not exist, etc. So you know, there on multiple levels there was like, you know, I was not mythologized, I would say. And so I always grew up understanding the corruption in our government, for instance, and the corruption in all governments. So in many ways, I feel like, you know, I've benefited from having like a level of awareness, but in some ways, I definitely feel like some stuff I'm like, that could have waited a few more years. And in particular, the thing I think that I would have liked to have waited for a few more years is my awareness of COINTELPRO, my awareness of the FBI and the CIA and surveillance, and just always having that sense of threat, and growing up with that. You know, I could have waited for that. But, you know, one of the greatest things about growing up with my mother is exposure. I was exposed to so many different kinds of people, so many different cultures, so much information. I felt like growing up with her, I got like an excellent education in the world. I got to meet people from so many different cultures, and felt like true connection with so many people from so many backgrounds. My mom, you know, was very clear about the importance of liberation for all people. So I was never raised with any like prejudice and discrimination and, you know, like homophobia or anything like that, because she was very clear that if any people are oppressed, then we all of us as a people are not free. So, you know, I'm really thankful to have grown up with that ethos, and, you know, with lots of people around who also share that ethos.
I just want to reiterate and ask my sister earlier what they had asked about that and about my father, Geronimo, and how it went with, but I just wanted to just reiterate too that he spent his first 8 years in solitary confinement. 8 years, 23-hour lockdown. You know, that's a crime against humanity. You know what I'm saying? You know, I don't know how he went through stuff like that, but I just wanted to say that about that. But anyway, having a father as a Panther, I just want to speak on my mom too. My mom was a revolutionary as well. She may not have been a Panther, but mom was a big influence on my life, definitely, as well as my father. You know, my mom raised me, my grandma raised me. Dad definitely sent word to mom that, hey, I want my son learning. I want him, you know, reading books, analyzing the world as it is, and, you know, making sure that I touch on this. I went to an all-white school across the bay right there in San Domingo. I think my sister was the first black student to ever graduate, and I was the first black male to ever graduate. This is in the 90s, y'all. You know what I'm saying? But you know, yeah, my dad didn't like that. That might have been a part of the man's process to get us in that school. You know, that's a whole other thing. But anyway, he definitely touched on what she was saying too. We definitely had a lot of capitalist conversations going on, anti-capitalist situations, conversations coming on and it comes from my grandmother as well, the power of the society, the power of the people. The whole thing with the Black Panthers was so instilled in me, and it makes me so proud to be a part of that, because it's not about the individuals, it's about the society, it's about the people. And I know I can reflect on my Japanese heritage, and that in Japan they don't focus on the individual, they focus on the society. What's good for the people, not good for the individual. We kind of do the opposite here in America. I need to protect myself, I need to protect my belongings and stuff like that, but not really looking at, well, if someone's coming in your house and trying to rob you, probably because they don't have nothing themselves. Most people who have will not go out and do stuff like that. So you want to solve the problems that we have right now, the homelessness issues, the poverty issue we have. We're the richest country in the world, but I'm paying $600 a month for healthcare. You know what I'm saying? I'm paying all this money out of my pocket every single month, but I don't see the social programs to back it up. It's one of those things where it's just I had that ideology built into me as being a Baptist kid. Definitely affects the way I am. Definitely makes me kind of an outcast in certain circles of people. Because people are very capitalist. Day and age.
More complex view of things. You don't just
Correct. Correct. Yes. And it's not about the individual. I think we should outside the capitalist country. We should be able to make $100 million a year when people on the street ain't got $2.
What was the question again?
How did your parents being Panthers shape your childhood?
Wow. The name Patrice and Mona. Wow. I mean, only some people know, a person that's a certain area know who Patrice and Mona was. That's powerful in itself. Sometimes I just try to say, oh, my name is Patrice. Or you know Patrice and Mona? Okay, then I can really talk. That was like, to differentiate, are you down with the cause or are you not? But my father and my mom were educators throughout, especially in the Panthers. Like my mom, she was not mentioned a lot, but she used part of the black hair for the women's side, to educate women in the Panthers. Because as you school the role as auxiliary for the Panthers, she believes in women's health and getting kids on to teach that side, because you never hear about the power of a woman, especially black women, in that situation. They were just warriors, it's just as a man, and I think highly of my mom for that.
I grew up in East Oakland, so I'm more familiar with the Oakland Panthers. But my comment is to Lumumba. You realize, that the Kansas City Panthers, Charlotte and Pete O'Neill, are in Tanzania. Bill Whitfield was also in Tanzania. They could not go back to the States. That was, and when I worked in Nairobi, my first assignment was in Tanzania. Nyerere was still alive, they have that big conference center, and I was dressed in my little African stuff, my hair was braided. And this brother from South Africa came up to me, he says, I just knew you were a Cape Town girl until you opened your mouth. So I just want to say yes to your time in Tanzania.
Well, as they say in Tanzania, they say, I'll say shikamo, and habari asante sana.
Former Panther, Brother Frank Kelly.
Comrades, it's really great to be here. This is it. And I would like for you to help me do something. You heard of the Soledad Brothers. That was George Jackson, Lita Drongo, John Pochette. John Pochette is still living, and he is very ill. He had cancer, and his weight went from 240 to 130 pounds. So what I would like for you to do with me, this is energy. We are energy collectively that's here. I would like to send him some energy, and all of us, very, very simple. It's very simple. When you inhale, you are energizing yourself. That's prana, air, that's what you're doing. Well, collectively, we can send him energy. That's what we can do. And in the process, energize ourselves. Remember, you are number one. You can't help anyone else if you don't take care of yourself. So that's what we gotta do. Now this is how we gotta do this. Okay, we are going to inhale a count of 7. And when we do that, who are we energizing? You are correct. You're energizing yourself when you do that. That's how it goes. Now, when we exhale, we'll have one pause in between. Then, on a count of 7, we exhale. And as we exhale, we are sending this energy to Brother John Plachette. His real name is Wesley. He said that's what his mother named him, but that's who we're sending it to. And you all know who he is and what he did and what he didn't do. Do you understand what I have just said?
Yes.
Okay. On this first count, who are we energizing?
Ourselves.
Correct. Then there's 1, and then on the next one, we are sending energy to Wesley.
All right. Yes.
That's what we're doing.
Yes.
Everybody got it?
Yes.
Okay, now we're going to do it 3 times.
No, let's just do it one time.
Okay, 1 time. Okay, we'll do it 1 time. Okay, are we ready?
Yeah. Ready.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Thank you very much. I am a healer. And if any of you have any, health issues, just see me when we get through, and it's like that.
First, I want to thank you for everything you shared. I feel like I've learned a lot. And I'm here, my 4-year-old. I'm an activist, and I'm an organizer. And my commitment to the work and the risks I'm willing to take have both increased because I've had a child. And then I've also got more confused about what risks to take. So again, I want to thank you for what you've already offered and what you've shared. I'm curious, literally speaking to me as a parent, if there's any I wish my parents knew, or I wish my parents did, or I wish my parents didn't do, it would make a big difference. I'd love to hear what you have to say.
Well, okay. I know for me, one of the things that with my father that because I understand what he was doing, and like my sister was saying earlier, was just that was something he was doing for a bigger purpose. But I did wish he was there. Even when he got out of prison, he was so busy with other people that, you know, he missed some of my, I was an athlete, you know, that picture. He missed some of my games still. And my mother never ever missed a game. And sometimes just wanted my father there. So I just being present, which I know I'm gonna do with my children, my 3 lovely kids, and they're out here. I'm gonna be there present every single day. Ain't nothing gonna stop me, nothing. And that's just one thing I say, I just being present with them,
I would say the gifts is already shared, because at some point, spiritually, your parents, even though you may not know, they're there, and the things that you're doing are spiritually driving you. You don't know the reason why you're doing that. You know, I was like, why am I? Because of what? And I just feel it's internally set in your cloud to do these things. Like, it's something that you inherit. Even though you may not know, it'll come out, you know? And I think that's what it is. Your ancestors were fighters, they were warriors. Their intent, that's why you're here. You know, if they didn't, it would just pass by. That's just my little 2 cents.
That's a really good prompt. I wish my parents knew, and it's very hard for me to actually tap into that in this kind of setting, so I'm gonna pass it on to these 2, but I work through that artistically, so, oh, you're there. I work through that artistically, so I will be delving into that in my one-woman show, but I'm really grateful that you are here with your daughter and that this is speaking to, that we're able to have this kind of conversation, because ultimately I think that's what we feel. It's like, I think you said it best. You said, like, as we continue to activate and, you know, fight that, and we have children, what can we learn from the lessons before on how to make it something that the children can be maybe a little less harmed emotionally by the experience. So thank you for being here and bringing your daughter, and I'll let them.
Honestly, I wouldn't change a thing. Everything I've been through made me who I am today. I'm very proud of my mother. I'm very proud of my father. I'm very proud that I am Geronimo Pratt's daughter and Shona Pratt's daughter. And this is the 45-year-old woman at this point speaking. I am doing a lot of healing though. But again, without it, I wouldn't be here. And I appreciate all of it now. You know, so if you would have asked me that question a while ago, I may have had a different answer. But now I appreciate it all. Yeah.
I would just say that I feel like at the time when our parents were doing their work, I feel like there was more of a sense of urgency/emergency, we are at war, etc. And I feel like one of the things that is really particularly beautiful about this moment is that a lot of awareness is within the community of activists and organizers that you have to do the work based on a foundation. And the foundation has to be things like actually like living the love that you are creating. And so like the way that you do the work is the work also. And so therefore, as you are creating the next beautiful world for your child, you are living that with your child every day, right? So that presence, that love, and prioritizing the connection with you and your child, that is actually also the work, right?
Hello, everyone. I'm 80 years old. seal. And I had a young lady friend that was a part of the Black Panther Party. So she was always wanted me to join, but I said, I've already joined a revolutionary group to change things. Even when I was first born, I can remember, I can't remember, my mother would tell me, you always think you know everything. And my sister developed telling me the same thing. And I really don't know everything, but what I know, I know. And I've seen how we came together as a people, as a family. Just like here, you don't see all black people there. You see people of peace. That's what I see, you know. And that's what I'm looking for my children's children. Peace and justice with all the ingredients added to it. So I just wanted to get up and say that because I do remember the Black Panthers when they first started in Oakland. Somebody might say, oh no, they started in Richmond. Oh no, they started all kinds of different places. But where I was in Oakland.
Yeah, I just wanted to mention to you guys that the decisions that we have made when we first joined the Black Panther Party, this was long before you guys were even born. We gave up our lives. I'm standing here and I don't even know how. The other thing is the incarceration of Geronimo Pratt was political. He was a strong activist in Los Angeles and they wanted him off the street, plain and simple. Didn't have anything to do with what happened on the tennis courts or anything else. He was in Oakland. We all made affidavits to say he was in Oakland. It didn't matter because the main interest was to get him off the street. And that was it. So the decision we made as young 17 and 18-year-olds, it really didn't have having children in mind at the time. So, I mean, the development from that point on, even the CDCs we had, the places for our young people, remember, the CDCs where the kids were, basically it was there so that we as Panthers could continue 24-hour-a-day work. And that's what we did, 24/7. There was no time off. we were on it. So I just wanted to make that point up. But y'all are loved, no doubt about it.
Just want to acknowledge the panelists and the organizers. My name is John from Baltimore. And about 30 years, about 2 years shy of 30 years, I had the opportunity to come to Oakland and participate in the Panthers' 30th reunion. And somebody thought to organize a series of panels where we as Cubs got to break out and have some conversations. And it blew my mind. I grew up in the consciousness of everybody speaking of. But there was a place where I thought that it was a unique consciousness. That was what my parents had poured into me, and I was always different than a lot of the other kids. And so at this point, since '96, I'm a college graduate, and so all of my life, it was the first time that I'd actually been in the presence of so many other Cubs. And what blew my mind was how much alike we were. We were all raised in several different circumstances, but they were all a piece of the same. And so there were things that we had never talked about, but yet we were able to complete each other's sentences. There were things, people that we never met, and they were instantly our best friends. And so shortly after that, I came to California. I just, again, want to thank the acknowledgement of this experience. It's very easy for us to look back on what we understand as the experience of the Black Panthers, and we delve into that, and it's been vilified, and it's been Hollywoodized and so forth. But we actually live on. What they poured into us as fuel is like we're not kids anymore. Most of us who are Panthers at this point, we're talking 50s plus. And so as we've seen them reconcile their times, we too have reconciliation to do, and I just want to thank you for the opportunity to process some of my stuff today.
About 15 more minutes just to let you know what our time is going to look like.
great there, we're still fighting about freedom. Thank you.
I want to say something. I want to really thank all of the Panthers who were so excited to support us, to come. We're like, oh yeah, we're here to support you. We came from Sacramento, we came from, I can't remember where you live, but I'm going far. We came because we want to support you without even knowing possibly what we could share. And I just thank you from the bottom of my heart for all of that love, for supporting us that way. And thank you also to James Wheaton, who just spoke, because I interviewed him for a long time, and I interviewed Mike Ellis for a long time to find about more information about the Richmond branch. So yeah, I want to also applaud you all for being here and supporting us in this, because it's not easy. Thank you.
Any more questions from our board? We can sit there. You can stay if you like.
Okay, I just want to acknowledge the panel. It is so rich, so rich. My father was a minister, and so I kind of feel a little bit, just a little bit. And I was raised in Richmond, and I remember volunteering for the Panthers, the free breakfast program at a church, and it was incredible. I only did it 2 or 3 times, but it was inspiring. And I love the Black Panthers. They were my heart, because I was saying the brothers are defending the community. We need this. We need this. We need it now.
That's right.
We need it now. Of course, I'm activated. You know, I don't have to be a Panther, but I know, you know, the truth. I was raised on there's no such thing as Santa Claus, and it didn't bother me. And so I just want to say that it is just profound. I've learned, I'm 76. I know the wisdom. When you get older, you begin to appreciate it. But I didn't hate what my folks taught me, because they were different kind of Christians. My father told me that, I said, Daddy, you don't push us to go to BYPU, the Baptist, Young Baptist training thing. He said, because you have choice. What minister tells a child, their child, that you have a choice to do what you want to, you have a choice to serve it. So I'm like, wow, I think about that now, and I'm like, who does that? But someone that is aware. So we're all aware, we all want everyone to be aware, and we are a warrior people. We have to be to survive this madness that we're in. Thank you.